Today, I'll be speaking with Ben Weinberger about the challenges facing law firm departments and GCs and a set of perennial issues they're grappling with. While some law departments' importance became even more evident to their businesses during this crisis, old challenges are even more pronounced. According to Weinberger, the need for greater transparency from their outside counsel and visibility into costs remain top of mind issues and even an irritant for many GCs. Welcome to Law Firm Weekly. It's great to have you here. Ben Weinberger is a consultant and legal operations expert. He's an experienced lawyer, technologist, and business unit leader. Ben, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Shai. Happy to be here.
I came across an article written by Alan Avaris. He's the editor-in-chief of the in-house lawyer and legal business magazine. Here's what he wrote, or I'm quoting what he wrote at the start of this crisis. I think it's at least 2 months, if not 3 months old, but still. He wrote that rampant risk, contractual nightmares, and business triage are a potent combination to propel GCs near to the seats of power. What's your take on this?
I think that's probably about right. There's a string of general counsel who have at some point ascended to CEOs. It's something that I talk to a lot of my clients about because it matters. It's about them getting that opportunity to show that they're more than just lawyers and that they know how to run a business because that's what legal operations is about. It's about running your business unit more effectively. And I think with everything going on now, GCs who know their business, who understand their business, and who are being indispensable with helping their business to move forward from it are going to find themselves at that seat at the table that they've been looking for so long.
So obviously we want to talk about what's going on now and of course start foreseeing into the future. Let's kind of take a step back and look at what I'll call it the perennial top issues facing legal departments and GCs. Maybe you can talk about the 2-3 major issues that they've been dealing with for the last few years.
Right. Well, so there's a number of things, I guess, that they focus on. And it depends on the tenure of the GC. And that's one of the big things that I talk to a lot of GCs about. How do they work with the business so that they can become more invaluable to the business and they're not seen as a hindrance, but actually as well as one GC spoke to me about yesterday, a revenue generator, because he has his team actually embedded with the various different business units rather than being a centralized legal team. So that's one of those factors. I think they're also looking at ways not just to automate processes, but to make them more efficient. Workflow is a big deal for law firms. It has been for years. I think corporate law departments are finding that now there are opportunities for them to improve their workflow. And one of the interesting side effects, let's say, from the present circumstance is that they are finding the cracks and the flaws in their existing processes because everything ought to be able to work in a remote capacity these days. There's no reason why it shouldn't work. Now, there are things you miss out on by not being physically present with people, having those conversations in the hallway. But by the same token, your team can be much more effective and efficient if you have the process figured out correctly. So that continues to be an important factor, working with the business process. And then really the third big one is about outside counsel and managing your spend, because cost is a big factor for law departments.
So there's a balance here of challenges between inside, how they're being perceived by their business on many levels and how to manage it best. So that's one side. And of course, related to it is how they're managing the outside counsel, not the least of which in the context of costs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is going to generalize because I'm sure it's changing from, law department to law department. But for most of them, are the challenges mostly on the inside, or is it mostly on how to manage more effectively and efficiently their outside counsel?
It really is this concern about outside spend. And it's not just as an absolute number, but it's about getting that certainty, that price certainty that we've all been talking about for so many years. The number one thing that law firms can do to improve the relationship with the law departments, with their clients, is give them certainty over those costs. And there's a number of things that can be done to achieve that. with regard to, again, my conversation yesterday, it was specifically about having some sort of real-time metrics, dashboards, and real-time doesn't have to be literally up to the minute. It could be, well, in the mind of this GC, it was weekly would have been good enough for him. But it's understanding what the spend is, having a good grasp of it, holding on to it, and being able to manage it. Because again, they have to report on a quarterly basis to their board, and their board is expecting them to be able to meet that P&L statement and say, look, this is what we spent, this is what we predicted we were going to spend, look how great a job I'm doing.
So the idea to have greater transparency, and being able to look into the future and have that certainty that you're basically talking about. I'm wondering if it's a technological issue or it's more of a data management and file management challenge that law firms have. Do you see what I mean? I'm assuming it's not just about whether or not you have a portal or an extranet. It's an issue of whether law firms are keeping track of this information and to what extent they're willing to share that information.
I think that there you go. It's that point there. I think there's this fear. There are tools out there. There are several tools that exist in the market that will enable firms to share with their clients what that real time information is. Now, whether or not they're willing to do it, that's a very different discussion to have. There is that fear over that. And interestingly, time and again, every GC I speak to, that they say, I want my law firms to be profitable. That's not a problem for me. I understand what I am getting, but I think there's still a bit of a challenge around pricing. Firms are slowly improving their ability to price. It's been going on for years now. There are, again, tools in the market to help them with this. And really, at the same time, clients are trying to understand pricing better because for everybody, we're all trained. Lawyers are all trained the same way. And at least years back, it was that feels like it's $50,000. I don't know. So you have this concern of understanding what it's going to cost to deliver a matter, understanding what it's going to cost for the firm and for the client. And there are tools that can do it, but it's not just the tools. It is a bit cultural. And then also it is a bit procedural. Again, firms are starting to adopt more things like project management. That's a great example. Project management goes hand in hand with delivering predictable results, i.e., predictable pricing. So those things are really interrelated. And if you implement project management correctly, it will allow you to better price out matters. It will allow you to deliver that certainty to your clients. And clients are going to be far happier because, again, what they're looking for and they would be happy with is that portal, is the technology solution. But it's not just technology that's going to get us there.
Right. So the emphasis, excuse me, the emphasis is on changing processes, on willingness to expose more of that information, both internally to the firm and, of course, externally to their clients, before we get to the issue of how you do it. What kind of portal you're going to use or not. Mm-hmm. That's almost secondary. I would say, however, that there is a trend right now, just to kind of go techie a little bit here, there is a trend right now to make a better use of collaboration systems, Microsoft Teams, HiQ, and other, Slack. And so I'm starting to hear kind of like early bird musings, but by some people that I talk to in the industry who are saying there could be an opportunity emerging to have this platform used both internally by the firm and possibly invite clients to it as well, while in the same time having enough of a kind of information governance to make sure that the right information is ending up with law departments. To what extent do you think, just coming back to the business, this is an inflection point or one that will escalate the demand of law firms to be more transparent?
Collaboration systems are really a natural fit there. Now, I think one of the challenges we're going to find is that law firms are going to want to offer, I don't want to say impose, but offer to their clients a certain system, whereas clients, it's typical to have multiple firms, especially here in the UK. You have panels. You have a panel of law firms, and if each firm offers you a different tool, that really doesn't work very well. So you have the challenge internally as a law department of that governance of how am I looking at multiple different sources, and this is where e-billing systems, if clients impose those on law firms, they get that benefit of a single interface for themselves. But when large firms are servicing multiple clients and they serve on panels together for these clients. I'm not sure how we, as they say here, circle that square.
Yeah, and that's been a problem for many years now, and a challenge, one that basically prevented extranet, so to speak, from really being taken up by clients, and certainly didn't work for many law firms. Anyways, it's a really interesting thread to pick up and talk about in one of the future interviews that I'm going to have on this topic. Ben, I really want to thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure. It's great to talk to you always, Shai. Thank you for inviting me.